Welcome to the Blow Your Mind podcast. If you're trying to figure out who you are, where you're headed, or how to trust yourself in the middle of it all, this show is for you. I'm Erika. I grew up in a trailer park on food stamps, and I went on to build a multi-8-figure award-winning company without a safety net and without pretending it was easy. I'm now a CEO, a best-selling author, and a philanthropist. And what I've learned is this: real confidence isn't a feeling. It's self-trust built through evidence. This is a place for real conversations. You'll hear from me and occasionally my husband, Chris, as we talk honestly about real life and the standards and decisions that separate talk from results. Let's blow your mind. 22 weeks on the road. Can you imagine? 1 to 2 cities a week, sometimes 3, for 22 weeks straight. No investors, no safety net, and my husband at home. What does that look like from both sides? This is what it took for me to build Directorie, to travel to my clients, to be there in person, to make it happen. And it was truly this relentless belief in myself to get there, but there was also real exhaustion and real support that was needed to make it happen. And today, I'm excited to welcome you guys to the Blow Your Mind podcast. My husband, Chris, is joining, and I'm kind of excited about this. Like, you're here doing the thing with me because you've been doing the things with me.
Aww.
Yeah. So I'm excited for everyone to get to know you more, and also just to, I always get asked, like, how do you do it? How is your husband a stay-at-home dog dad? Like, how did that happen? But before we even got to that point, really the conversations that it took to say, like, hey, my love, I want to start I want to start this company, and I want to do this thing. And it's going to be really hard for a while. And I think I'm going to be living for the weekends. Like, are you in? Like, are we going to do it together? So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
What was it like for you when I said, I think I want to start my own company?
So that was a weird time, right? Because you just lost your job, and then you had you were doing some consulting. You didn't really know what you wanted to do, and then you broke your ankle.
Yeah.
And then that was probably the lowest moment I've ever seen you. You're generally just a very positive, happy person, and to be really down and not being able to be mobile too, just stuck in bed for. I mean,
that was like 3 surgeries.
Yeah.
Lots of, I remember at that time, like, I called my doctor and was like, I think I'm actually like depressed. And he's like, no, Erika, like, this is situational. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, I'm not okay. And I think it was just so hard because, one, I had just been fired, which I did share with everyone, that story and how hard that was and just what that meant for my identity. But then to like a month later, I was starting to consult. I had landed my first consulting gig before I wanted to start my company. And to have had the most epic Peloton ride, which I used to have it on the 2nd floor, and then to break my ankle on the way down. That was a really low point for me. I think asking for help is hard, but at that point it was like asking you to help. Like, you had made a commitment to me at that point to say, like, because I had read online, they were like, when you break your ankle, you have to just know these truths are going to happen. You're going to have to ask for everything and have it at your bed. You're going to probably smell because you won't be able to shower every day. And I was like, no, this is the one thing, please. Even if I'm crying and screaming, can you please just make sure that I get a shower every day? And you were there, like, for all of the surgeries, for all of the asks, for all of my rage moments, for all of the times that the pain wave would come, and also making sure that I got my shower even when I was screaming in pain getting it.
Yeah. So you were also really good. I mean, this is like, being held up in bed for weeks at a time is like the worst thing that could happen to you specifically. Like, you like to be out, moving, happy, doing things. Yeah. Always. Being bedridden was just terrible for you. But to your credit, you handled it really well. I think you knew that you were in the worst place you could be, but like, you would ask for things, but you would ask for them in a list of like 15 at a time. You're like, this will be the most efficient trip to the kitchen you've ever had in your life. Like, these are all the things I needed. So you were really worried about me, and, which you didn't have to be, and just really, conscious of what it was like for me in that moment.
I love you. This is nice, guys. I'm going to have my husband on the podcast more often. No, but it was such a difficult time, but I also believe things happen for you. And so had I not broken my ankle, I would have just started consulting and probably gone down that path that I went through before, which one of these days I'll explain what happened in my just consulting time. But because I did that, I had time to really think, and I decided I'm going to start a company, like a real company where I think I can teach others how to do what I do, and that we could actually scale this and probably help more than just the bandwidth and capacity that I had. And that was like a moment where I had come to you and said, like, I think I really want to do this.
So my reaction to that was, one, you're coming off of one of the lowest points in your life, and then you're telling me you want to start this thing. Immediately I'm just like, yes, let's feed into the positivity. Let's feed into the, what could be 100%. I wasn't afraid of you working a lot, because you always worked a lot. You've always had to travel, but this time I had the chance to do it, for yourself and for our family. So, my reaction initially was just extremely positive.
But it did take a moment for us to sit together and just really, and I think that's what I've always loved about our relationship is, I talk about it publicly, where I talk a lot about how we made the decision not to have human kids. And that was through a lot of discussions that we had around, like, what do we want our life to look like? When you have kids, they need to become number one in your life. And for me, my work was so important to me. I do travel a lot. And so we were like, actually, once I sat down and talked about it, I was like, I actually don't know that I actually want to be a human mom. I love my dogs, and they feed my soul, and I love our relationship, and I love our lazy Saturdays. And so I feel like we had already like started to go against societal norms when people would be like, but you still have time, or like, I know an IVF doctor. And it's like, no, actually, like we kind of decided this to be. I felt like we took that same intention when we started to do this company, because I had said, like, I'm the face of it. I had to convince my two leadership team members, Ryan and Thomas, to say yes. But even then, they were kind of behind the scenes. They weren't client facing yet. So it really was that first year, 22 weeks of like me traveling to all of our clients and them moonlighting or working behind the scenes, and like what that required for us in our relationship. Yeah.
So at that point, like, you were doing the bills at the house, and we would split the chores evenly. And, and I'm a finance guy, and I wasn't doing our finances, which is kind of funny. Like, I don't want to bring work home, I guess, but then I was like, no, let's really look at it. Like, you're gone a lot. My evenings are, I'm a homebody, so I'm like, I have a lot of time. So at that point we started transitioning more of the home stuff over to me, just, washing our sheets and, doing laundry and doing the bills and taking care of the dogs. And it wasn't that big of a lift, get home from work. My work life was very scheduled, and I would get home and have my routines, and it didn't add a lot to my life at that time, I didn't think. So,
but it was also so nice to feel like it was a real partnership. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, because I'm the woman, I'm supposed to do the laundry, or I'm supposed to be feeding the kids, or I'm supposed to be the one going to the grocery store. And like, even you being a finance guy, like the money management, the bills, the spreadsheets, all of the things, like, I think that was one of those areas where I do feel like societal norms maybe were applying, but then because we started to get into this place of like, I'm traveling all of the time, when you came to me and you're like, hey, I can do this, I can do that, I was like, oh my gosh, like yes, how interesting. We hadn't like thought about it before.
Yeah, I think there wasn't a lot of thought about it before. I think generally speaking, I'm a kind of old school guy, and I mean, it's kind of weird to say now with, how radically different my life is.
Yeah.
But like, women did more of the house chores. That's just, I didn't really think about it, but then when reality sets in, it was like, no, just look at workload. Like, she's doing 20 times more just with her work alone than I'm doing. I'm, home at 5 o'clock, nice and rested. Well, she's working till 8, 9 o'clock and then traveling, every other week. So it just what made sense. Yeah. And then also, I think you have to be a pretty secure person. And I definitely am. I mean, it didn't bother me. I don't care what anyone else would think if I'm doing laundry or anything like that. So I think some people may feel threatened if they're asked to do some chores around the house. And me, it doesn't bother me at all. I just, just the realization, that's all I needed.
Yeah. Because I think that is societal programming too. Like you grew up the way you grew up too is like, this is what was modeled for you. This is what all of the TV show, this is like how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right. Like with the realization, and I feel like we had another moment when after COVID, your company was like, you have to come back to work. And we had just gotten into such a groove and all like our life and how we were and working from home. And I was always like, you should just quit your job and be a stay-at-home dog dad.
Yeah.
You weren't into it at first.
Well, no, just because I am kind of an old school guy. I like to work too. I was good at my job and I like to do it. But yeah, COVID changed a lot for us. And it kind of introduced me to the good life, instead of getting up at 5 a.m. to do my workouts before work, all of a sudden I'm doing them at 7, I'm getting ready by 8 and I'm feeding the dogs, during our morning meeting, it really brought a lot of comfort into my life. And then when they're saying I have to go all the way back, that's
the hour commute each way.
Yeah. It just, didn't make a lot of sense, especially for, how successful your company has been at that time. I hadn't had to work for the last few years, really. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a hard sell I don't need to work. And they're telling me I got to do this,
I always love the story when you said, to your boss, when he was like, I think you should, you got to come back to work. And you're like, if I can't work from home, I'm not coming back to work. And they're like, well, then we'd have to let you go. And you're like, dude, that's what my wife has been trying to do. So it won't work here.
So I remember it was a she I was talking to. It was my boss at the time. And I was like, yeah, so I would really appreciate a work from home, permanently. She's like, we just can't make any exceptions. And I kind of leaned in. I was like, so I don't have to do this job. I don't have to work at all. Just so you know what you're saying. And she's like, my hands are tied. I'm like, well, then
which was
that's great.
Interesting though, because then when your day actually came, you were like, all right, here's my end date. I'll train somebody else. I don't know that they believed it was actually really going to happen.
They did not.
So then they were trying to extend you and retention bonus and all of the things. But there then finally became the day when you did get to leave your job. You got to be officially a stay-at-home dog dad. And I know I jokingly, I talk about it on stages or when I'm speaking where I'm like, because it's interesting. You go to the golf course and you'll be golfing in the middle of the week and people will be like, oh, are you on vacation? Or what are you doing? And you're like, no, I'm retired. My wife has a company. And I always am it's so I feel like you finally experience what it feels like for women who are breaking the norms whenever they say to you oh, what does she have? A Mary Kay company?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, actually.
Yeah. I have told guys at the golf course that, my wife has retired me. They're like, oh, wow. Does she make cups at home or something? I'm like, what? No.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. She doesn't sell makeup.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with it. But that it wouldn't even be assumed that I would have a multi-8-figure company, that we would be really successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I talk about that too, where I'm like, people accept. And I would love to hear how you actually feel about this, because I do say, I'm like, the society accepts trophy wives. Why is it not just okay that I would have a trophy husband? I have a really hot husband, and he's a stay-at-home amazing dog dad, and life is really good, but the reaction is always so interesting.
Yeah, well, I think the guys I tell, I'm going to need rotator cuff surgery from all the high fives I get. Every guys are super stoked for me. They're like, that's the life, that's the dream, that's amazing. And then they see a picture of you, how beautiful you are, and no one can really believe it. So, I don't think from the guys' standpoint, I don't get any judgment at all.
That feels good to just say, sometimes it's just being an example of what is possible, or just showing a new way of doing something that it might not be completely rejected in society. I do know when you did full-time become a stay-at-home dog dad, we had really intentional conversations, because some people do ask me, they're like, how does that work? I don't know if I could ever ask my husband, do you mind being the one to do the laundry? That conversation would never go well. And I know when we first were like, okay, this is a reality, I had said to you, like, I never want to be that like nagging wife, or I never want to be the person who's just like, my laundry's not done yet, or like be like following up on like the things. And you had this idea where you're like, I think we should both just write down our wish list of things on our own, separate, and like put anything down. And then we met at the dining room table and we're like, then we'll just review the list and like, we'll figure it out and like actually have an adult conversation of like, what does partnership look like? Like, what are the things that are important to you that maybe weren't for me, but I can make them important, and vice versa. And like, that was like awesome, because it was such a moment of just like, I wanted to be able to say like, you never have to worry if I'm going to go to work or like figure things out, and like, I also, how, if there's a new thing that I want to add to the list, like, how do we have those conversations, or like, how do we check in? So like, I loved the way you like pragmatically went about it.
Yeah. Well, I think you were more nervous than I was. Like, you were nervous about my reaction to things. You didn't want me to feel any certain way about it, you know? But we've always, for whatever reason, our communication's been the best thing in our marriage from the start. Like, we're always able to just have the conversation and just say openly and honestly what's on our mind. And so I saw you kind of struggling, like, how do I ask for certain things that I want done? And I'm just like, okay, she's not just going to come straight out with it. So why don't you write it down like a little secret, and then you can slide it across to me, and then you know, I can then see what's in your mind, you know. But you know, so yeah,
it was cool. I mean, when we sat down, I was like, I remember I was like, I would love not to have to do my laundry ever again. He's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Do you want it on a certain day so you can plan for it? And I was like, yeah, like
you literally have no idea how many hours are in the day. Like, your laundry. Yeah, sure. Okay. No
And
problem.
we have other systems too of like, with the laundry, like, you usually do laundry on Mondays. That's when you do all of the sheets, refresh those for the bed. But like, clothes also usually happen on Mondays. But if for some reason, like, I've had a trip, or I've had like extra outfits that I've had, like, we have a little sign in our closet that says clean, dirty. And so if I flip it early, like, then again, I don't have to ask, like, you just see like dirty and you're like, okay.
That is true.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
But that applied for like trash, for like dishes, for clean. Like, we have, that's the one thing too. When we talked, you were like, oh, should I just do cleaning of the house? And I was like, no, I still think there are moments that are appropriate to have additional help. Like, we have 5 kids. They have lots of vet appointments, travel. You come with me sometimes on travel. There's still a lot of stuff going on. And so I still think like supplemental help also. Yeah,
which
helps.
We did stop for the first year, me
just
being
to try
home,
it.
you know, and, you know, I'm just not very good at it either. I just haven't, I wasn't raised, like, I wasn't domesticated, you know, like normal guys, like, I don't know, or normal people. Like, I didn't know how to clean. I didn't know how to take care of myself, you know. So it's all been learning on the fly. And, you know, I can do it, you know, but it's good to have the pros come in at least, you know, a couple times a month and really make sure the house looks nice.
So every episode, I have a mind blown moment. And I think the mind blown moment I'm having from this one is, as I hear you talk and just like really share what it felt like on your side, is like, maybe we are just too afraid to ask. Like, is that what you would say to like somebody listening to this podcast today who's like, I just don't even know how I would bring this up with my husband, my wife, my partner, that you just ask?
Yeah, I mean, sure. But like, all relationships are also different, you know. I don't know how communication styles work in other people's relationships, but I know for us, like, yeah, you can just always ask me. It's never going to be a problem for you to ask. And if I honestly think it's too much, I'll just say, I don't think I have the bandwidth to do that, you know, whatever it may be. So.
And it's also, I think, just like this mutual respect that we have for each other, and like really recognizing it is a partnership. Like, by doing what we do in the way that we do it, like, my company has helped over 100 million patients. I've gotten to do a national media tour and go to all the TV interviews, and I'm championing for pet bereavement leave. Like, I believe we're going to create more normalization for when we lose our animals, how we feel, and hopefully pet bereavement, compassionate workplace policies. And now with Tiny Superheroes, like, we're really transforming how pediatric care will be experienced. And that is only possible because my husband sees himself as my partner, so that we can still like have our life, have our kids, like enjoy our lives and still do all of these things.
Yeah. And that made me think of one other thing, which you can edit this out. I don't know if I have to say that. But the one thing that has made this really easy transition for me too is the level of respect you give me. You know, you don't look at it as, oh, I have all day to do anything. It's a really easy job. He could just do whatever. You recognize like having 5 dogs with medical problems is a lot to handle. And, you know, you've always just been overly respectful for what I do. So that has made it, you know, extremely easy for me as well.
It's a really good point. It's true. I'm like, life doesn't work. I don't get to enjoy my life if you're not in it and if we're not getting to do these things. And like, I don't have to worry about our kids and their vet appointments. And we've got, I mean, Kingston had cancer, Edmund had cancer, Teddy had cancer. Like, there's just so much happening. But it all works because we're a team.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would say the challenge for today's episode is, if you are struggling at home or somewhere in your personal life, and just think about who is around you that could help you. And it doesn't have to be big conversations, but if you go into it with the right intent, if you go with it with the right respect for the person that you're talking to, you could really have a conversation of like, hey, I really just need this right now. And just start there. And you'll start to build the systems and the structure and the support that you need around you to accomplish all of the things that you want to do in your life.
And if you need to, you can write it down on a little piece of paper and slide it across to that person. So.
And with that, we will close out. Thank you so much for joining today's Blow Your Mind podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with me and Chris, and there's more to come. There's more times that he'll be back. So if you enjoyed this, please like, share, send me a DM. I think Chris would also love to hear how he did on the podcast.
I don't care.
So send me a DM, but until we meet again, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Blow Your Mind podcast. If something you heard today stayed with you, that's your cue. Apply one idea. Keep one promise to yourself this week, because that's how you blow your mind. If this helped you build proof, shift your identity, or have an aha moment, share your receipts on Instagram and tag me at Erika_Sinner. Leave a review wherever you're listening so more people can find this work and blow their minds too. I'll see you next time.